You know the feeling. You've been scrolling through endless specs sheets, wondering if any of those numbers actually translate into a machine that won't hiccup in the middle of a raid, won't scream louder than the fan blades on a hot summer night, and won't leave you wondering whether you just threw money at a shiny case. You want something reliable, easy to live with, and worth the money, not just a laundry list of gigahertz and teraflops. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The first thing I did before even unboxing was look at the kind of games you plan to run and the environment you'll be playing in. A lot of pre-built gaming rigs promise out-of-the-box performance, but the hidden trade-offs usually show up once you start a long session. With this Avonic liquid-cooled tower, the promise is a smooth experience even when you push the graphics settings to ultra on titles like Cyberpunk 2077 or Elden Ring. That's a realistic promise because the cooling system isn't just an aesthetic ARGB add-on, it actually moves heat away from the CPU and GPU, which matters when you're cranking the i7 up to 5 GHz for extended periods. If you're the type who streams, chats on Discord, and keeps a few background apps running while you're in-game, the 32 GB of DDR4 and the 1 TB NVMe SSD are where the everyday benefit shows up. The extra RAM prevents the occasional hitch you get when the game tries to load a new area, while the OS is juggling a live stream encoder. And the SSD means you're not waiting a full minute for a texture-heavy map to pop in. The load times are more like the time it takes to grab a snack between matches. Now, let's talk about the practical strengths. The liquid cooling does keep the processor temps under control, which translates into quieter operation. In a small apartment where you already have a wall-mounted TV, you'll appreciate that the fans stay at a low pitch even during intense firefights. The 9 ARGB fans aren't just for show, they are spread across the chassis to create a balanced airflow path. That helps the RTX 5060 stay within its optimal temperature window, meaning you can push higher frame rates without the throttling you sometimes see on cheaper air-cooled builds. On the flip side, the 650W power supply is decent for the components included, but it leaves little headroom if you decide to upgrade to a higher-tiered GPU later. If you're the kind of gamer who likes to swap in a future-proof card as soon as the next generation drops, you might have to budget for a new PSU sooner rather than later. Also, the case's design is heavy and the ARGB lighting, while attractive, can be a bit distracting if your desk is in a dimly lit room and you're trying to focus on a narrative-driven game. Who should buy this machine? If you're a serious gamer who values consistent performance, plans to game at high settings for the next couple of years, and doesn't want to spend time tinkering with custom loops or aftermarket coolers, this pre-built hits the sweet spot. It also works well for content creators who need that extra RAM and storage without building a separate workstation. On the other hand, if you're on a tight budget, or you enjoy the hobby of hand building and tweaking every component yourself, you'll probably get more bang for your buck by assembling a comparable system. The value really comes from the ready-to-go experience. You plug it in, run Windows 11 Pro, and you're already in a gaming-optimized environment. No driver hunts, no BIOS flashing, no wondering if the fan curve is set correctly. For someone who wants to jump straight into multiplayer matches without a week of setup, that convenience is worth the premium over a bare-bones kit. A practical scenario that illustrates the balance. Imagine you're on a weekend marathon with friends, swapping between shooters, strategy titles, and a few indie games. The liquid cooling keeps the CPU from hitting thermal throttling mid-match, the SSD shaves off load times so you're not stuck in menus, and the Wi-Fi 6 ensures your online ping stays low even when the house is crowded with devices. That's the kind of real-world smoothness that turns a good PC into a no-regrets purchase. Conversely, picture a small dorm room where space is at a premium and the power outlet is shared with a fridge and a desk lamp. The tower size and power draw could make cable management a chore, and the ARGB lighting might be more of a nuisance than a perk. In that environment, a smaller form factor build with a modest air cooler could be a better fit. Bottom line, The Avonic liquid-cooled ARGB gaming PC delivers on the promises that matter to everyday gamers: quiet operation, stable high frame rate performance, and a hassle-free start. It isn't the cheapest way onto the market, and it isn't a future-proof platform for the next-gen GPU wars, but for anyone looking to buy a machine that just works today and stays comfortable for the next few years, it's a solid middle ground.